In this video, I'm going to show you how to use VBA to create a whole bunch of workbooks with custom named sheets. So if we look at this workbook here, we're going to use this as our template and we're going to create a whole bunch of workbooks, and these are going to be the names of each workbook, like 1, like 2, 3, 4, 5. And inside each workbook, we're going to add a sheet with these names. So each workbook is going to have these sheets inside that, and we're going to use VBA, and I'm going to show you how we can do that. To start off with, we'll create the subroutine, and we'll just call it sub create workbooks. Create workbooks, and we'll create our variables. Then worksheet as a worksheet, and we'll set the worksheet. We set worksheet equals this workbook dot sheets, and let's say sheet 1. And in the worksheet, we're going to have to create a couple of more variables. So LR for last row, and that's going to be an integer. Integer. And we're going to create another variable for the file names that we're going to create. So file name as a string. And so get the VBA code to find the last row number. So LR equals worksheet dot sales rows dot count. In column A, it's going to be looking in. Go to end. Excel up dot row. So it's going to find that row 6 is the last row, and then we're going to create a loop. So for I equals 2, so we're starting at row 2, so to the last row, we're going to say that our file name equals worksheet dot range A and I dot value. And then in here, we're then going to run the run next macro, run next sub. We'll do that one next, and I'll show you how we do that. And then that's all we need to do for that. We'll just say next I. So this is just going to loop through this column, and it's going to then call another macro that we're going to create now, another subroutine. And we'll start with this call. We'll call it create and save workbook. Create and save workbook. And sub. And inside this, we want to pass in the worksheet. So WS as worksheet. If you're not familiar with passing in variables, then you'll learn it here. And we want to pass in our file name. I'll show you why we need to do that. So up here, we're just going to call this one. So call create and save workbook, and we're going to pass in those two variables that we now are asking for. So worksheet and file name. I forgot to put this as string. So we're going to run this, it's going to loop through, and every time it goes to a new row, it's then going to call this subroutine, and each time it's going to pass in the worksheet, which is this current worksheet, and it's going to pass through the file name each time, so we know what to call the workbook each time we want to save it. Okay, so from here we're going to add in a few more variables to get us up and going. So then workbook as a workbook. We're going to set a file path as a string. We're going to create a new last row, so LR as an integer, and we're going to create a sheet name as well. We're going to be creating new sheets. Sheet name as a string. Okay. So from here, we are going to get our file path. So in this case, we're going to specify the file path. So the file path equals, and this workbook here is this file path. So I'm just going to copy this folder path. So it's going to be this, and I'm going to add in the remaining part. So it's going to be this string and the file name that we're passing through, and .xlsx, so that we know where we are going to be saving this. So now we're going to set the workbook variable. So set workbook equals workbooks.add. Let's just create some more space down here. We're going to get our last row, so LR equals, once again, I'm just going to copy this down, and we're going to change that to column B. So now we're going to be looking inside column B, and it's going to find the last row is row number 4. And now we're going to create another for loop. So for I equals 2 to last row. I'm going to just go down here and call next I. And in here we're going to say our sheet name equals worksheet.range, let's say column B, and I dot value. So now we're able to get our sheet name from this column each time it goes through the row, and then in there we're going to add a sheet, so workbook.sheets.add, and we're just going to put it to the end each time, so after equals workbooks.worksheets.count, name equals sheet name, and that's all we need to do for yes, there we go, and that's all we need to do for the for loop. And then the next thing we want to do is each time that a workbook is created, it's going to always add in a sheet called sheet 1. So assuming we don't want that sheet, we're going to delete it as well. So we're only going to have sheet names of like, subscribe and comment, and we're going to delete the sheet name sheet 1. So we can do that with this way. So workbook.sheets, and we'll say sheet 1 dot delete, And it is as easy as that, but what we need to do so that the code works efficiently is to disable display alerts, so just so that the user is not prompted that with confirmation, do you want to delete this sheet. So we'll go to application.display alerts equals false. And then once we do that bit, we can just turn it back on so that it's back to its default setting. So it's going to turn off the display alerts, it's going to delete the sheet and then put the display alerts back on. And then we can simply save the workbook. So workbook.save as, and the file name is, we're going to put it down as the file path, because the file path has got the full file path for that, which is up here. And then workbook.close. And that should be it. So if you run this code here, hopefully I've got everything set properly and there will be no issues, and I should create these 5 workbooks, and inside each workbook should have these sheet names. So let's give this a run and see how it goes. What has happened here? Oh, I see. Yes, so workbook.sheets.add after workbook.worksheets, and in here I need to change this. I missed that code. So it'll be workbook.worksheets.count. There, I think that has been now rectified, so I think we'll just delete that. And we'll give this another run, and hopefully that will come through. And you can see workbooks are being created. They're coming out over here. And if we go into, let's say, this workbook, it's opening it up, and there you have it. This workbook like 3, and it's got 3 sheets, each with those sheet names. Easy. We can change this, so if we delete all those, and we'll change a workbook to, let's say, comment 4, and we'll add another worksheet called hello. Let's run this again and see what happens. Like 2, like 3, comment 4, like 5. And if we go into any one of these workbooks, you should see an extra sheet in here. Sheet name hello. And that's it. Thanks for watching. If you have enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please give it a like and subscribe to my channel for more videos just like this.